Good morning, Unity of South Sound. It is glorious outside, and I am so happy to be here with all of you.
Different clothing, different colors, different names. But difference only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's doors. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you're given, it's all one power, can't you see? Forgiveness, it's the sweetness of release, it's the joy of inspiration, it's the sunshine on your face, it's the birthright of all nations, it's the boundlessness of space, it's the beauty of a baby, it's the sweet melody of sleep, it's the anger we abandon, for it's love that is most deep, it's one power.
Christina Brewer, thank you so much. It's a joy, you're a joy, and welcome back. She's been here a long time, she's one of us. She is also the new administrator of the Tacoma Refugee Choir, and on Tuesday, she's leaving to go to Mexico to, can you hear me?
Is this better? Okay, so I'm going to start over. Thank you, Christina Brewer. Thank you very much. You're a joy. So, yeah. And thank you all. So Christina is the new administrator of the Tacoma Refugee Choir. And on Tuesday, she's leaving to go to Tijuana to do a conference on music writing, of working with people in refugee camps and in prisons with, I forget who it was, but anyway. So that's what's new in her life, and we're just delighted to have her here with us. So welcome to the light and the love that is Unity of South Sound. My name is Barbara Baumel, and it is my joy to welcome you here this morning. If you have any questions, concerns, or joys to share, please contact our office during business hours at 253-301-0385 or email us at office@unityofsouthsound.org. Now we invite you to relax, to reconnect, and to center in the truth of who we are. Will you please join me in saying our opening affirmation? There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence. Our mission statement, inspired by the divine as an inclusive spiritual community, we explore and express our highest potential. Our vision statement, present and centered in divine love, we co-create a peaceful and awakened world. And our core values, we are love, joy, abundance, and spirit guided. And now Reverend Megan will light our unity candle.
Is it on? There.
Oh, and I just invite you to take a deep breath, to feel that breath of God breathing you, reminding you that you are divine by nature. And as we know the truth of who we are reminded of our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, within me, around me, in and through and as me, in everything I think, say, and do. And so we allow ourselves to be that presence, to show up in our grandeur, and to know that when we remember through our awareness, we are all that we meant to be, and we make a difference in the world. And so let us see each other in the truth of who we are. And in that truth, we stand firm, and so it is. Amen.
You, if you're able, to stand and join in our song, Michelle Zawasta, in singing our congregational song.
Thank you so much, Christina. We got a little bit different intro here. Greet the neighbor next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Look around the sanctuary. Feel the love that's shining through. We come together God in you. Lift your hands in the sanctuary. Let the love come flowing through. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Greet the neighbor next to you. Say, God is love and so are you. You're at home in the sanctuary. Receive the love that's here for you. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love.
So this is the time in our service when, I lost my notes, but when we greet one another with a namaste greeting, a handshake or a hug. If you feel comfortable with those near you, you can elbow bump. Otherwise, we just invite you, and you guys know the drill.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
You can take your seats.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and all we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth, and all you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth, and all you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
You're a blessing.
To the world. I'm a blessing to the world.
The inspirational reading for today is a collection of sayings about beginnings, because we're at one today. We begin anew. So I'd like to start with, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, from Lao Tzu. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Arthur Ashe. Or as Mary Morrissey would say, do what you can with what you have where you are. Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning can make those conditions perfect. Alan Cohen. Your present circumstances don't determine where you will go. They merely determine where you start. Nido Qubein. Change can be scary, but what's scarier is allowing fear to stop you from growing, evolving, and progressing. It's Mandy Hale. Nothing in the universe can stop you from letting go and starting over. Guy Finley. And Desmond Tutu reminded us that forgiveness says you're given another chance to make a new beginning. If you want to fly, you need to leave the earth. And if you want to move forward, you need to let go of the past, those things that no longer serve us, that drags you down. And that's Amit Ray. Every day is a new beginning. Treat it that way. Stay away from what might have been and look at what can be. Marcia Petrie Sue. And the beginning, as Mary Shelby says, is always today.
Millions of stars, they were placed in the sky by one God. Millions of us, we lift up our eyes to one God. So many children calling out loud by many a different name. One Spirit, loving each the same. Many the ways that all of us pray to one God. Many the paths winding their way to one God. and sisters, there are no strangers after God's work was done. For your God and my God are one. Millions of stars, they were placed in the sky by one God. Millions of us, we lift up our eyes to one God. So many children calling out loud by many a different name. One Spirit, loving each the same. Many the ways that all of us pray to one God. Many the paths winding their way to one God. Brothers and sisters, there were no strangers after God's work was done. For your God, yes, my God, yes, our God, our one.
So beautiful. Thank you. One God, one us, including Reverend Megan now. So right now I'm going to set down the mic because we're going to move into a sacred time of water ceremony. Hang on one second. Little shakier than normal due to all the excitement. So, a couple weeks ago, we did a beautiful ceremony. And in the back, I've printed out, I don't know if you recall, as a congregation, we all came up and did a water ceremony for Reverend Denise, thanking her for her service. And we expressed the gifts, a word that expressed the gifts we've received from this ministry, as well as the gift we are giving to this ministry. And these have all been printed out, and there's flyers in the back, and you can also get more if there's not enough. So please feel free to ask for that if you need one. But this water ceremony is going to be based on that. Reverend Megan, we offer you these words. If the board would join me, please, the board members that are here. Thank you. Just a moment. And we have a couple board members that are out today, but they are here in spirit and giving all their love and blessings as well. So, Reverend Megan, as a board, we're going to speak these same words that our congregation has gifted us all with as we bless you. And as the water that is filled with these gifts, because this water in this little pitcher is from the ceremony 2 weeks ago. And when we did that, each of us poured the blessings into the water and then into the bowl, and they've been transferred into this little pitcher. So we will be pouring this over your hands, and then that way you can receive them and hold them and be blessed by them as we move forward as a community together. I will start this off, and I'm going to ask you to come forward and stand in front of this little bowl. And I guess each of us will need to do this and speak the words first, because then we have a microphone and you guys can all hear it. And then we'll pour the water as we also express those blessings to Reverend Megan as we pour the water over her hands. And we have a towel here for anybody who needs it. And I will begin. Reverend Megan, some of the gifts that we're blessing you with are love, community, joy, acceptance, friendship, appreciation, and service.
Reverend Megan, we welcome you here with grace, gratitude, healing, hope, and exponentially give. We're so thankful for you.
Reverend Megan, we offer you peace, praise, compassion, song, and kindness.
Reverend Megan, we welcome you here with open-heartedness, spiritual growth, spiritual community, spiritual support, and fulfillment.
So, Reverend Megan, we bless you as a board and as a community and as our ministry search committee lead and the search committee members that are out here. We bless you. We welcome you to this ministry. And we offer our deepest gratitude and great love. Thank you so much. Namaste. And before we move into the next part of the service, which is meditation and then message, we'd like to reprise the Blessings to the World song. We're just going to do I Am twice. So we're going to reprise it.
Feel that as we go in.
I don't know if yours is on. Is she on?
Okay.
Okay.
I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to
and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world.
We just take that affirmation of blessing into our heart space. I invite you to close your outer eye if you haven't already done so, so we might open our inner eye to the vision and the wisdom and the awareness of the divinity that we are. I am the heart. Know that in your heart. I am the hands. Feel that. Just feel that energy vibrating in your hands. I am the voice, the vibration of spirit that speaks into the world and demonstrates my potential. And so we know this in our heart, in our entire being. We breathe it into our soul. To bring that breath, to feel that breath, just notice your breath in this moment. I breathe in all that I need. And as I breathe out, I release anything and everything that no longer serves me, as I know it is transformed into greater good in the world around me. And so we allow ourselves to be in this moment a blessing. To feel blessed, to know that I am blessed, and to know that I am a blessing in this world in everything I think, say, and do. I affirm that in my heart, in my body, in my soul. And in a moment of silence, I allow myself to just be in the blessing of this moment as I radiate blessing out around me, into the sanctuary, into the connection of each other, out into the universe, to the virtual community that is joining us here this morning. We just feel that connection and know we are blessed in the silence. And we breathe in, I am the heart. We breathe in, I am the hands. We breathe in, I am the voice of spirit on earth. And all that I am and all that I do is a blessing in this world. We open our eyes in this truth, refreshed, renewed, awakened. And so it is. Amen. I forgot to bring Kleenex. I want to thank, thank you. I knew there had to be some somewhere around here. I'm really touched by the welcome and the blessing. Thank you to the Board of Unity of South Sound. Thank you for each of you and your presence. I feel your heart with me. Thank you to the virtual community. Though I can't see you, I know you're there. And I feel blessed. So, with a deep sense of gratitude, we begin this journey together. It has been a journey already, has it not? Absolutely. And and that's what life is. There's this journey that we're on. We don't know really where we're going all the time. We know where we've come from, and hopefully we've learned something that we're bringing with us that can make a difference. And yet we're stepping into the unknown, into the adventure with curiosity and a deep sense of joy for the potential that is awaiting for us to awaken and to join in and become together. And that's the absolute joy of having a spiritual community. The last 3 years, Michael and I have been doing ministry from home, online, in different ways, as most of us have been doing different things with the pandemic. It has opened us up to a new world of being, and it has shaken us up a bit, right? And how many of you are waiting for things to get back to the way they were? It's not going to happen. And so I invite you just to breathe that one out and know that it's okay, because we're bringing with us all the things that serve us, all the things that still support us, and we're opening ourselves up to the possibility of new things that can enhance not only ourselves but our experience and us as a community. And so the slide is there. In the beginning, what a good place to be. In Genesis 1:1, it just says that, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And then God said, let there be light. It's shining in here, is it not? And so we are a part of this divine presence, the power, that creative energy of life that we call God, that Jacqueline has been beautifully singing about this morning, that one presence, that one power that we affirm. To know it in our heart and our soul and our being, that is it, active in and through and as us. So we are a part of that we call God, that has the power to create heaven, our natural state of awakened presence. When we are in our natural state of awakened presence, we are in the consciousness of heaven on earth, which is our physical experience of our divine self. Simple as that. And as the light, the expression and the demonstration of that nature. That's it. That's what we're here for, that's what supports us, and it's up to us now to remember to practice and to know that as our truth. But do we live from that awareness in all that we think, say, and do every day? Probably not, if we're honest, right? We have moments of glimpses into what that is. And so it's about our practice. That's where we come together as a spiritual community. This is a laboratory in a place where we can love and support each other to practice. And so my intention is to be here to inspire you, to rattle you up, to shake you up, and to say, it's okay if the first time it didn't work out. But there are ways and tools and experiences for us to keep looking deeper. So I want to share a story with you by Matthew Joyce. And once there was a panhandler who sat on a street corner begging for spare change from passersby. We've seen people doing that, right? Every day he sat on the curb with a ripped and tattered cardboard sign on which he scrawled, "Help, please." He held out his sign to one and all while at his feet lay a black bowler hat that they could put their coins or bills or blessings into. And so it went for the panhandler until one day a shiny white limousine pulled up to the intersection and stopped at the red light. Here's my chance, he thought. He stood up and he walked over to the limousine. He held up the sign in one hand and the empty bowler in the other one. And in the mirror glass of the limousine windows, he saw the reflection of his gaunt and unshaven face. It was smudged and dirty from the grit of the street, and slowly the window rolled down. And in his reflection, it was replaced by the broad smile of a gray-haired man. "Help me, please," said the panhandler. How may I do that? The man said. Anything helps. Anything is rather vague, said the man. What is it that you really want? So the panhandler thought of the quarters and the dollar bills that he usually received and hoped for, and he said, how about $10? Oh, come on, smiled the man. When you came into this world, you had aspirations and dreams. You must want more than that. What is it that you really, truly want? The question set the panhandler back a bit. But he thought quickly because he knew the traffic light was going to change and opportunity may be lost at any moment. Well, what I really want is what you have, the panhandler said. The answer made the man in the limousine smile, and as the traffic light turned from red to green, the man said, I'll be back tomorrow to grant your request. Then with a wave of his hand, the car pulled away and disappeared amongst the cars and the taxis and the buses on the roadway. I doubt it, said the panhandler. He was used to vague promises by strangers that went unfulfilled, so he shuffled back to the curb and resumed his regular position, hoping that someone might be more generous than the smiling man in the limousine. He was very surprised when the gleaming white limousine returned the next day. This time, instead of rolling down the window, the gray-haired man actually opened the door and said, hello. I didn't think you'd come back, the panhandler said. Well, I recognize your plight, and I do want to help, the gray-haired man said, wearing a pure white suit. I was once where you are, begging for handouts, scarcely hoping for something more. Now I am a successful spiritual teacher, and I want to give you a very special gift. Well, that would be great, said the panhandler, right? So the gift is so special that it will help you with all that you desire. Well, this is my lucky day, thought the panhandler, and his mind raced with images of bags of money and mansions and yachts and private planes. But the panhandler's smile sagged in disbelief as the spiritual teacher emerged from the back seat of the limousine, and in his hands he held a wooden box. It was the size of a milk crate, and it had a very sturdy lid. And the box was old and worn and covered in specks of paint that looked as though they could flake off with the slightest touch. The old man held the box with great reverence. This was mine when I felt as you do. It was the key to unlocking all of my happiness, freedom, and success. I want you to have it, that you may enjoy the very same. Well, thanks, said the panhandler as he accepted the gift from the man. Use it well, said the spiritual teacher as he climbed back into the limousine. With another smile and a wave of his hand, the man disappeared behind the mirrored glass. And the panhandler took the box in his hands. It was heavier than he expected and quite well made. Some gift, he thought. Maybe it will bring me some luck like it did for the old man. And even if it doesn't, at least I can sit on it instead of sitting on the curb. So the panhandler sat on the box and went on begging. The day proved to be very good for him. He got more money than usual, and he ate very well that night, raised a glass and toast to the spiritual teacher in the limousine. But the next day proved to be dismal, and he went hungry. Maybe this thing doesn't work at all, he thought. But the panhandler lugged the box to the street corner day after day, and he sat on it at the curve, and he repeated itself over and over, and some days he had prosperity, and some days not so much. And so it went on, year after year, sitting on the box, begging for anything to make a difference in his life. And the special box, the paint started to peel off, and it was worn smooth from him sitting on it, and finally the panhandler died. When he passed into the realms beyond this life, he met again the spiritual teacher. I remember you, said the teacher. You're the one I gave the box. Oh yeah, said the panhandler, and I'm here to tell you that it didn't work. I was a beggar before I met you, and I was a beggar afterwards. My life never changed. How did you use the box? The teacher said. Well, I sat on it, said the panhandler. You sat on it, said the teacher. Dear one, what you needed to do was to look inside. Moral of the story. We will never know our true potential until we lift the lid of our consciousness and explore what is inside and begin to experience a greater reality of life. So let me ask you, do you think there's a greater reality beyond that which you so far have experienced? Greater than the panhandler? Yes? How would your life change if you could explore that reality for yourself? Perhaps infinitely? Would you agree? And how might we participate in that exploration? I'm going to answer that for you. Together. We will do it together. And it's just like that song from The Sound of Music, you know, let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When we read, we begin with. When we sing, we begin with do, re, mi. And when we go on our spiritual journey, we start with the basics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I bet you want to know what they are. So I thought, as we get together and we start this journey together today, that we should start at the very beginning, the very foundation of what we teach. Because everything I will ever say and share with you will come from these foundational truths that we teach in New Thought, in Unity. And my goal is to share something of inspiration of how I've used them, but also other people's stories of other resources and things that will challenge you, inspire you, and ways that we can practice together and grow, evolve, learn, and thrive as a spiritual community. And so no matter where you are, I know many of you have been practicing what we teach in Unity and New Thought for many years, perhaps decades. Some of you are very new to this. It's a very fresh and different way of thinking and being, of teaching. And most of us are probably somewhere in between. But I think that it is a benefit for us to review our foundation, because I know for myself, I always learn something new. I recognize that perhaps maybe I've been a little out of balance with something, or I got off kilter somehow. And to come back to that foundation where we can have that natural resilience to life. So that even if another pandemic hits us, or the one that we still haven't fully gotten out of yet, doesn't have to throw us off, but we can say, okay, here I am. I have some tools to use. As a matter of fact, where did that go? Well, I had a box that was right there. Maybe the panhandler has it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Some helpful person moved it out of the way. Thank you. It gave us a moment of distraction. So it's like, how many of you have a box that you keep special things in? This box represents the tools that we have to practice in our spirituality. And so I wanted to take a moment today to review our ABCs in Unity. So just like we start with ABCs to learn to read, it's a formula that takes us further and deeper to practice reading so that we can expand our vocabulary and our understanding of communication, right? Or when we're counting 1, 2, 3, a formula that always works, and we can use it as a foundation to create accounting, financial, scientific processes that support our reality, right? Or like in singing, do, re, mi, it's a scale that all music is developed from. It's a formula that we always use. It's the foundation from which we start. So as we're beginning in this new place together today, I think it's great for us to start at the beginning, to really look at the foundation of what we teach so that we're all on the same page. Would that be okay with you? Yeah. Okay, perfect. And so as a guide to this practical spirituality, I wanted to do a quick review of the 5 basic principles. And I use a book that I recommend you all get. It's called The 5 Principles by Ellen Davenport. She is the Vice President of Communication at Unity Worldwide Ministries and had been a long-time minister in service. And she puts it in a very condensed and easy and practical way of understanding our foundations. And so, as I said, my goal will be offer you something of practical and beneficial and useful tools. They all come from one of these 5 principles. And I think it's really interesting that Unity didn't always just teach 5 principles. It was back in 1990 with one of the granddaughters of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who are the co-founders of Unity, was asked what are the principles that Unity teach. And there had been a long list of things. And she said, we really need to condense it to where it's more practical and easy to understand. And so she broke it down into these 5 principles and put it in an article that was published. And since then, it has become the standard for our teachings. So whenever we teach a basic class for like new members, these are the things that we will review. And the interesting thing is that these principles offer us the understanding of truth as taught from ancient times by all the spiritual ancient teachers, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Krishna, any of them, and then contemporary writers too. They all can be broken down into some of these truth principles. And so as we begin together in the same place of understanding, I invite you to lift the box, to not be like the panhandler who just sat on it and wondered why his life didn't change. You have to open the box and look inside. And where is the inside for us? It's inside our heart. That's where the wisdom and the truth is. But we can also have some other things that we can add into it. So maybe you might want to get a box that's symbolic, because it helps us to remember. And so some of the highlights, I just wanted to go back into this book for a moment, is to understand that what we're teaching are spiritual principles. How many of you understand what principle is? You might have a concept, but principles, we must know, is that it ensures that we understand that we're coming from the same perspective. But a principle is a rule or a law that never changes. No matter how hard you want to change it because you don't like the way it works, you can't. It never changes. It applies to all people, in all cases, everywhere, all the time. It's the absolute. That's what we call God. That energy that's the creative energy of life is absolute, without exception. So our language has formulas and principles that are constant and unchanging, like B always follows A in the alphabet. You can't change that. It's the way it is. You can try, but it will confuse people. So we learn the basics. In mathematics, if you get the answer wrong, it's always the operator error, because the formula always works. It never changes. 2 + 2 always equals 4, no matter what number you put down. So we learn the formula in order to use numbers. Just like in music, you use the formula, you understand the scale and what works together so that you can create something new. So there's similar principles in gravity and electricity. They work all the time. We learn that if we step into thin air, our bodies will fall. Guaranteed, right? When wires are connected to a power source, they become conductors to generate power of light. Something always happens when you connect them. Principles that are constant and work without change. We can call them natural laws because they occur naturally. So spiritual principles are the same thing, can be understood because they act in much the same way that the other principles that we're already operating with in life and we accept without question, right? But where there's this curiosity of spiritual principles have to be some really difficult, complicated mystery that nobody can understand. So we're going to start at the basic, constant, unchanging, impersonal. They don't choose who they like and who they don't like. And you know, it's not like there's a God in the sky that's watching you and makes that decision for you. It's all energy. And so as above, so below, all around, everywhere in between, there is no way to avoid their impact on our reality. So it's important to understand how to interact with these principles. They are rules or laws to live by because you have no choice. So just like gravity is, electricity is, mathematics is, God is. And when we say God, it's a word because we use language. It is that infinite creative expression of life that animates us with every breath we take. So a simple thought is, when I am breathing in that we call God, that animates me and allows me to have this experience, and so I can be grateful for that. In the beginning, I took a breath, and I became, right? So, in this book, Ellen Davenport reminds us that unity movement claims no corner on spiritual truth. These principles show up in every major religion. Earth's greatest spiritual teachers, Buddha, Jesus, and others, taught these laws, maybe in different words, in different ways, but the core basic universal is the same. The principles have been tested throughout human history, discovered and rediscovered by spiritual seekers. And so, it is a benefit to us to take the time to understand them. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were convinced that not only could they understand these principles, but they could have a personal relationship with the presence and the power of God through them. As we sang this morning, the one presence, the one power. And by whatever name you call it, doesn't matter. We're talking about the same thing. And so, isn't that what we all want? Is to have this personal relationship with that energy, that one presence, that one power that we call God, and discover how we can interact with it, to work with it, to use it, to live with it, to be a part of it. Is that what we want? So Charles Fillmore said that God is principle, simple. By principle meaning definite, exact, and unchangeable rules of action. That we call God is a principle. You cannot change God, but you can use it to change you, right? And the starting point in spiritual realization is a right understanding of that one designated as what Charles called the Almighty. I call it our source of life. You cannot change your source. So the basic truth principles, or precepts, might be a better word, that we teach in Unity are, and I would like to share with you how I have used them as an example of how I found myself here today. And so there's a very simple formula. The first principle is God is. God is. God is good and everywhere present. When we say good, it means creative. That it exists to create something useful, beneficial, practical. It makes a difference. Not in good, the opposite of bad. So I have to let go of that one. God is good and everywhere present. In short, God is. How did I use that in my life to manifest? Is to know that truth, that as I breathe in, God is animating me and allowing me to have this moment in time. And so I can take it within and to connect with it and to get out of the way of it with my human thoughts and my human needs and my human need to control things, and to just be present with that is my divine nature. That is who I really am. And let it be my source of guidance, of inspiration, of the beginning. The second principle simply is, I am. We are created by God and therefore have God within us. If God is everywhere present, that means God is in and as us, active in and through and as us. that we then have a piece of that God that is within us. So I am God. I am not all of God, but I am. We may call it our Christ nature. It is okay for you to say, I am the Christ. It was not Jesus' last name. It was a designation of which he acknowledged and lived from the awareness of his divine nature. He lived in first person. When he says, I am, it was because he was choosing to acknowledge his divinity and reminding us of that. And so those first two principles are the most important and the most powerful. God is, I am. And I call the next three really as practices of those principles. So the third one is, in short, I think it. It is the creative step. We create our own experiences by our thinking. Simple as that. If my experience is not manifesting what I would like to experience, my first thing is to go to my thoughts. Where have I been dwelling in my mind? What is the predominant thinking that I have that thy vibrational energy is then putting out into the universe to match one and the same with? The greatest power we have is our thoughts, which become energy, which become our words, which become how we show up. And so, God is, I am, I think it. How I did that was I was very clear that there one present, one power is active in through me, and that I am one with that. And that I'm going to get really clear with what it is that I want to create. What is it important to me? What is it that I want to experience? And so I sat with that as I became clear that I was ready to go back out and be with a part of a spiritual community that was missing that in my life. And I thought about what kind of community would I want to be a part of? And so I started to imagine that. What are the things that were important to me? Because I was interviewing you at the same time you were interviewing me. And there was a process I went through when I looked at all of the ministries that were open at the time that I began this process, that I chose the ones that strategically aligned with what was important to me, where I wanted to find myself, what I wanted to experience. What kind of messages was I getting from this community as to how would they be to interact with? And you were on the list. Of course, you had the great benefit of being in the location where my son and granddaughters live. But also because I came from here. So this has always felt like home. And I wanted to have an opportunity to come back to a place that felt like home. So as I started to think it, I started to imagine it, I started to create it, and led me to step 4, which is I pray it. It is the affirmative step. Prayer and meditation improves our relationship with God, and it always aligns us with wholeness. The whole point in prayer is to affirm truth, to align with our wholeness because something has become out of balance that isn't demonstrating the way we would like to experience, whether it's in our physical, mental, emotional, whatever part of our lives. So prayer is a tool that helps us to get clear, to affirm the truth within our heart and mind and soul. And so as I'm clear with what I want, what I think, then I go within, so that I can affirm that truth, that everything I'm doing is aligning with that I want to call into my experience. And so that is what I did. I lived into this experience. As I took a step and moved toward exploring a relationship with you, and you did the same, I was holding the affirmation of this or something better as my spiritual community. I knew at the very least what I would want, but I was open to something more. I think I got it. So far, so good, right? So then we move to the 5th step. In short, I live it. It is the action step. When we live the truth, we know we express God through us. We have to be God in action. You can't just sit in your mind imagining what you want to affirm the truth in your heart and not do something to participate in the physical world to manifest it. We have to be the activity of God. We are here in this physical for that we call God, that energy of life, to have an experience in the physical. It is the gift that we give back to our source by how we show up. So how do you want to live it? Do you have the courage to take a step to move into the direction that you want to go, and then be willing to make the adjustments as new information comes, as clarity comes, and to step into the unknown? Because that's how it works. It will not guarantee you what you want 6 months in advance. It happens in the moment because the only thing that matters is in the moment now, right? And so we have to be ready to respond, to take some action, to interact with it, or we could choose to sit and just be present with it. But it's in that moment we decide how I'm going to be the activity of God in this situation. So how are you using these principles to express God, which I call goodness, in your life? Are you aware that you're even using them? Are you like the panhandler who's sitting on them and don't even know the treasure box that you have because you haven't opened it up, or maybe you haven't opened it up for a very long time to discover those tools and practical things that you have to support you in manifesting the very best life and the potential that you have to be here, for us to be here together. So I see them as tools for daily living and how they can support us in discovering answers to the greatest questions of existence humans have been asking since the dawn of conscious awareness. Maybe you've been asking questions like, what is the greater presence that we sense around us? Or how can we communicate with this presence? Who and what are we? And why do things happen in our lives the way they do? What are we on earth to do? Those principles begin to bring those answers to clarity for us. The 5 principles that you can get from studying this book, very simple. You know, one of those things you can just pick up when you need it as a useful guide, offers a glimpse of what the laws are that you have to understand, to work with, to practice with, and to be with. The principles of truth are the treasures of life within us. And we have to take a deep look inside in order to really truly see what they are, to discover what we have available within us. Yes, we might find some answers outside of us. We might find useful information, but we still have to take that within to discern, how does this work for me? And whether I will use it or not, or maybe a piece of it, or integrate it in another way. I have to take it within and trust that is within me, not think that somebody else has the magic formula for me. And so I say, let's start at this very beginning to discover the principles and the priceless treasure that we have within us, the magnificence that we can become together as a spiritual community dedicated to living and practicing. Are you willing to do that? To know that I don't have all the answers, and maybe we don't have the answers, but we can sit with and decide who we want to be as a community, what we want to create, what we want to do, and then move forward in discovering how that might be, and be willing to make adjustments as we go. But because we can care about each other, we can also be willing to accept that maybe we'll stumble and fall sometimes. Maybe something won't work out quite right the way we thought it would, and to let it be okay. Because how many scientists, after one experiment that failed, quit? Spirituality is a science. And so it's a practice that we experience, that we practice, what was the word I was just thinking? Anyway, you can try different formulas of what works. It's like take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we can find the one that really works for us, but it's gonna be different for everybody, right? So for the next 12 weeks, as we move through summer, I thought we will continue practicing the basics. How many of you are familiar with the 12 powers of man that Charles Fillmore taught? Those are attributes of our divine nature. Every aspect of that, it aligns with it. A part of us aligns with the chakra system. And if we are out of balance in anywhere of our life, most likely one of those attributes of who we are, we could benefit from spending some time with to bring back into balance. And so we're going to explore each one as a tool. And so every week, we're going to open the box and we're going to find something that represents that attribute, and we're going to discover how to use it, how to understand it, and we're going to have fun with it. So that we're not doing anything too heavy. I'm not going to do a weekly class, but what I thought I would do is maybe do a monthly Zoom gathering, maybe on a Saturday morning. We will review the 4 powers that we've just done. So if you have any questions, if you have any successes, if you have any ideas or concepts, we can just get together and connect 3 times through the process so that we're growing together and then get ready to really do something fabulous in the fall. How does that sound? Okay. I'm going to be using, as part of the practice, this book, Divine Audacity, that's by Linda Martellett-Whitsitt, who's the Vice President of Silent Unity. And she has a more contemporary way of using the 12 powers, combining it with Charles Fillmore's ideas. But I just want to point it out, so if it's a book you might want to order and have on hand, it could be useful for you to do some deeper dive on your own, because I'll be referring to that. And so, in closing today, I just want to say, I will continue to use these 5 principles in my life, to continue to manifest, to work with you, to bring something useful to you, and I invite you to do the same. To let's see each other. Remember when I was here, was it April 3rd? Forever ago, and I invited us to see each other, to really see the divinity in each other, to honor that in each other. As we evolve, learn, grow, and thrive as a spiritual community, will you be willing to do that with me? Okay. Then that's all I have for you, and so it is.
Reverend Megan, so much. God is, I am, you are. We think it, we pray it, we live it. We want to thank all of you for joining us today. And if you're here for the first time or online, thank you for sharing your consciousness with us and your love. If this is the second time you've joined us, welcome back. And if you've been with us for a long time, welcome home. And to all our friends, we want to share our unity blessing. So to our newcomers and our live streamers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity you are. At this time, we'd like to prepare for our love offering and invite Christina Brewer to prepare for her next song. This is the time in our service when we get to share of our financial blessings with our community. And there are 4 easy ways to do this. You can visit our website, www.unityofsouthsound.org. In the upper right-hand corner, there is an orange donate button, and you can make an one-time or an ongoing donation. It's simple and it's secure to do. You can also call our office, 253-301-0385, or you can mail it. That's my preferred method. Unity of South Sound, 710 South Anderson Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405. And if you're here in person, there's an offering plate at the back of the sanctuary on the table. where you can drop a check or our bills. Whichever way we make our tithes, we always hold our love offerings in this moment, in our hands or in our hearts, and we affirm this together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am in perfect balance and flow with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God.
This song is called All Is God. It's an original. It's interesting because when I was a little girl, my grandfather, he loved some jazz. And he said, when you grow up, you're going to be a jazz singer. And I was like, no, that music isn't cool. And now I find that it's one of my favorite spaces to be. And so this definitely yields itself to some jazzy vibes, but it's called All Is God.
In the dance, God is in the laughter, God is in romance, God is in forgiveness, God is in the love, God is here forever, around, with, and above. When life doesn't go exactly as you thought it would, when troubles you face seem to be more than they should, when disappointment seems to always rise up, I have to remember all is God, all is good, all is well. You see, God is in the quiet, God is in the dance, God is in the laughter, God is in romance, God is in forgiveness, God is in the love, God is here forever, around, within, above. When I reach out in peace and everything as it should be, when I wake up and breathe and I feel the God that lives in me, when I quiet my mind and that divine is all I seek, I remember all is God, all is good, all is well. You see, God is in the quiet, God is in the dance, God is in the laughter, God is in romance, God is in forgiveness, God is in the love, God is there forever, around, with, and above. This is you.
Aren't y'all blessed to have Cerny on the keys and the drums? I love you.
In the dance, God is in the laughter, God is in romance, God is in forgiveness, God is in the love, God is here forever, around, with, and above. God is in the quiet, God is in the dance, God is in romance, God is in forgiveness, God is in the love,
Oh, thank you, Christina, and Cerny, and Dave. We have several announcements to share with you this morning, and I'd like you to know that you can keep up to date on our Sunday services and events by subscribing to our weekly newsletter, the E-Blast. At our homepage, you can click on Newsletter Sign Up. There's a button up at the top. Then fill out your contact information and press the Submit button. Your info will be saved and it's never shared. So we have a welcome celebration to welcome Reverend Megan Smith Brooks. We invite you to join us in Wesley Hall for some service, food, fun, connection, right after the service. Pride booth sign-ups. We are currently seeking volunteers to help us run our Unity of South Sound booth at the Tacoma Pride Festival on Saturday, July 9th. We have loads of fun and we hand out hundreds of beads, give away, I don't know, thousands of hugs. So if you're interested in spreading the word about Unity of South Sound, let's see, and you would like to volunteer for a shift, please sign up at the back table. And it's at the back of the sanctuary. Or if you're watching online, you can go to our website or email office at Unity of South Sound. And our other project is Paintbrush, Project Paintbrush. It's back. We're back from a 2-year hiatus after, with the pandemic. We are now taking sign-ups for this season's project. And this is going to be our 9th summer partnering with Associated Ministries and Project Paintbrush. We will weatherize, paint, and transform the home of a low-income, disabled, or elderly home in the Tacoma area. And we will begin this project with a prep day on Saturday, July 16th at 10 a.m. And then we work every Saturday until it's finished. Paint Day will be held on August 6th at 10 a.m., and we will need all the volunteers we can have that day. So there are many ways to participate, even if you aren't available to help us paint. You can also sign up for this event at the back table in the sanctuary or by contacting the office. And now, let's welcome in our children.
Announcements. Sorry. I have announcements. So today in our classrooms, we talked about community, and we talked about bringing new people in, having new people join us, and welcoming Reverend Megan. And the children painted little paintings for her. Little paintings. So welcome. We're excited to have you here. I wanted to make an announcement. Our fundraiser completed yesterday, and we delivered our goods. We made about $700 after expenses because we have a U-Haul to rent. So that's great, amazing, and thank you. Thank you all very much for all your donations. So appreciated. All these God Lights will get to go to camp this summer, in-person camp. Some of them have already been. It's very exciting. And then one more announcement. Next Sunday, we will not have youth ed programs. It is 4th of July weekend, and a lot of my teachers are out of town, so I don't have volunteers, so we just won't have classrooms. But if your children come to church with you, they're welcome to sit in the sanctuary with you. And that's all I have.
Okay, and now let's bless these God lights. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity you are. That goes for our teachers too. Parents, if you have children, please come on up and take their hand. And for everyone else, we invite you to stand if you're able and join hands high as we sing our peace song, sending peace out to the entire world.
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us look with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace and harmony. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
And now our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The law of God enfolds us. The presence of power of God protects us. The presence of God enfolds us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. God bless you all.